senior year, after Mom died, I got super thin. Got down to like 155 pounds, which at 6'4" means I was a string bean, as they say, super thin. And then I leveled out probably 1984, 83, 84 to about 180 pounds. And then in the 90s, I was around 200 pounds. In the 2000s, probably 230 to 250. And then, that's the early 2000s. And then, as my health got worse and my habits got worse, I would say by the time we moved to Albuquerque in 2000, the beginning of 2009, I was at my all-time heaviest. I actually got up to 380 pounds. I was in horrible shape. 380 pounds. In 2010, I had my heart surgery. I was born with a bad heart, and it was getting worse and worse and worse, and this was not helping. One thing was feeding the other. I was feeding myself lots and lots of food, not moving. I'm babbling now, but anyway. So anyway, 2010 I had to have heart surgery. They fixed the mitral valve. I was born with a bad mitral valve. I don't know if you know anything about the heart. The heart pumps blood through your body, all the way down to your toes. And then it comes back up and goes into your lungs. So your heart goes and shoots blood through your body. And as it goes through your body, this is the the layman's version, the oxygen in your blood goes into your body, and by the time your blood gets back to your lungs, the oxygen has been used in your lungs. The blood goes through your lungs and puts oxygen back in. It goes into your heart, and then your heart goes and pumps it back through your body. And that's a big circle. Blood goes through the body takes oxygen, comes up, lungs put oxygen back in the blood, heart goes and shoots it back in through your body. And in your heart, there's something called the mitral valve. And basically, when your heart squeezes and goes and shoots blood through your body, the mitral valve opens, and then it closes right away to prevent backwash, to prevent blood from going back up into the system. So it opens and closes, opens and closes, opens and closes. I was born with a bad mitral valve, and as I got older, it got worse. And as I got heavier, it got worse. So in 2010, it was not working hardly at all. And what would happen is the blood would pump, and then the blood would come back in, and it would go into my lungs, and I would have trouble breathing. And whenever I laid down in bed, there towards before my surgery, as it got closer, or as things got worse, as soon as I laid down, I would begin to suffocate. As soon as I started to drift off to sleep, I would begin to suffocate, and I'd have to sit up real quick. And then I'd lay down, and as soon as I drift off to sleep, I'd start to suffocate. So it got to where I would go out in the living room, lean up against the couch with my head in the couch seat, and try and sleep that way. And that went on for a couple weeks. That was May of 2010. Actually, I thought I had lung cancer because I'd smoked so much when I was younger. I smoked from when my mom died in 81 until 96, and that's 2 to 3 packs a day. I quit in 96. But as I'm having all these breathing problems, I didn't know it was my heart, and I thought I had lung cancer. And so I was in denial. And so from May until toward the end of June, I put up with it until I collapsed. I went to the emergency room, and they told me it was my heart, that it wasn't lung cancer, it was my heart giving out on me. So they wanted to do surgery on my mitral valve. And typically they would put in a fake valve. They would either put in a mechanical valve, man-made, or they would put in an animal valve, from a pig. They'd put in a pig valve. But I had a surgeon who was he was, I don't know how you would say it, groundbreaking, paving the way, whatever, bullshit. Not experimental, but he was into trying to repair the mitral valve as opposed to putting in a fake one. So that's what he did to me. I still had to make the decision if I wanted mechanical or pig in case he got in there and couldn't fix it. So I don't remember what we decided. I think mechanical's good for life, but there's issues with blood clots or something. And pig valve is good for about 15 years, and then they're going to have to go back in and do it again. I don't know what we went with. Maybe pig valve. Because they said, in about 15 years, things will be even better. They'll have even better techniques and blah, 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 or something. I don't remember which one we decided, but it didn't matter. Because he went in there, he did some plastic surgery, put in some rubber rings, O-rings, whatever they do. And basically he made something work that had never properly worked my entire life without putting anything fake in there. Other than the little O-rings. But like I said, he did plastic surgery on the flaps and made it work. So I brought that down, still heavy, very heavy, to about 300. I averaged about 300 pounds throughout the 2010s. And then in 2017. In between this time, about every year, it seemed like about every year after the surgery, my heart would go out of rhythm real bad. And they call it, mine's a combination of atrial fibrillation and atrial flutter. Basically, AFib is a real wacky rhythm, and atrial flutter is a real fast beat, and I would typically get both. My heart would jump from, instead of being resting 60, it would jump to 120 resting. And then if I was walking or going upstairs or something, it would go up to 200 plus. And so that's the atrial flutter, sometimes even much higher. Atrial flutter, and the AFib, it would be real erratic. So basically when that's happening, they have to take the paddles and shock you. And it's the same thing as when they go clear and they shock somebody in an emergency. But this is a more clinical thing. They take you into you're in a room and there's an anesthesiologist that knocks you out, and they put a paddle. It's like an adhesive. They adhere it to your chest, and then they adhere one to your back, and then they stand back in a room and they push buttons and they go poof, poof, and they shock you. And I'm sedated, so I don't know what's going on. And I was doing that, it's like I said, on average, maybe once a year from 2010 to 2017. So in 2017, they go in and they do an ablation, which is where they go and they burn off a bunch of the wiring to your heart. And they did that in 2017. And things were going pretty good. And then I went out of rhythm again in 2018. They were still feeling like the ablation went well. So even though I went out of rhythm in 18, what they did was they put me on a heart medicine, a different heart medicine. So from 2018, actually to 2022, I stayed in rhythm. So I stayed in rhythm for 4 years on this new heart medicine, and then having had the ablation in 2017. And probably by 18, I'd brought my weight down on average to about 270 because I was feeling better. And then in 2020, this is 2 years before I went back out of rhythm, in 2020, when the bug hit and the restaurants closed, we took that as an opportunity to stop eating out because we're notorious for eating out. So in 2020, we stopped eating out. And I had been exercising. I was feeling better from about 2018 when I went on the new heart medicine. I was feeling better, so I was starting to exercise more. I wasn't as weak. And then in 2020, when the restaurants closed and we stopped eating out, I started eating a lot better. And I brought that down to 230 pounds. So from 380 in 2009, I was 230 pounds. In 2020 to 2022, 23, 24, or 23, yeah, up to about 23, mid 23. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, and then 22, I went out of rhythm. They said, oh well, it happens. They shocked me back into rhythm. And then in 2023, I went out of rhythm again. And that was April. April of 23, I went out of rhythm again. And this time was really bad. AFib and atrial flutter. I could hardly move. I was just super weak. Called them. They said, okay, we'll set you up for a cardioversion, but if it gets worse, go to the ER. So on April 21st of 23, I went to the ER because it was super bad. And I remember that date because that is Diane's birthday. And she was traveling. She was out of town on her birthday. And so I didn't call her. And that wasn't to be all noble and righteous and goody-goody and, oh, what a wonderful guy, not wanting to scare her. I just didn't see any point in telling her I was in the emergency room. She was, I mean, what was she going to do? She was out of the country. You know, she would have wanted to come back. She wouldn't have been enjoying herself. She would have, just all that crap. So I didn't see any point in calling her. Plus, I really believed I would get out pretty quickly, that they weren't going to keep me. They would most likely just shock me and send me on my way, which they pretty much, yeah, they did, pretty much. I wasn't there very long. I don't remember how long, but I wasn't there very long. And so I told her when she got back. Anyway, that was a big, long to-do about. Anyway, the point is, I went to the ER in April. And then at the end of May, around May 30th maybe, a little over a month later, I'm back in the ER. Heart's all messed up. And they keep me for a week this time and shock me back into rhythm. And then in July, toward the end of July, maybe the 20th, I'm back in the ER. They keep me for 2 weeks. They shock me back into rhythm. And there's stuff going on with my lungs, and there's stuff going on with my heart. And there's all this stuff going on. So 3 visits to the ER in about 3 months. So what they do, I'm gonna end this video and start another one.